Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to be with you once again. It's Damien Whyte here. We're doing something a little bit different. A joint podcast, Periscope, Zoom. It's all happening. We are firing on all cylinders, engaging all of our powers over the internet while we still can. So, hopefully nothing to be too censorious about, but it's a pleasure to see you all nonetheless. It's been a big week. Got plenty to talk about. Very big week. And, you know, one wonders where everything goes from here. And a lot of people are going to be talking about that. A lot of people are going to be trying to convince everybody where things should go from here and what's already happened means in relation to FISA warrants and memos, obstruction of justice, perhaps even overreach from the White House itself. And we find ourselves now, especially you guys who listen to this podcast and this Periscope, you know, you're rational, you have your own opinions, your own thoughts, but, you know, we're all in the same boat. We're all kind of watching this unfold, and we find ourselves almost caught between this big this big divide. You know, there's two schools of thought. On one hand, it's the end of democracy as we know it, and on the other hand, well, there's nothing to see here. So I thought I'd get a special guest on, friend. We've been talking for about 6 months, and, you know, there's been a clear pattern leading up to where we are now, and it's very easy to get lost in the 24-hour news cycle. As things happen, we tend to forget what happened just a couple of days ago, let alone a couple of months ago. Before I bring him on, though, thecommondiscourse.com, if you want to catch up with anything. If this is a little too long-winded for you, go down, click on TCD Podcast, TCD Videos. You can find it there. And in relation to my guest, the founder of aimright.club, you'll also find this interview, this chat, and a lot more material on his website as well, aimright.club. Of course, I am talking about Mr. all the way from Holland, Mr. Giovanni Barricelli. Good morning, sir.
Oh, hello. Morning. Well,
pleasure to see you. Morning, good evening. We find you well?
Yes, it's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Very good.
Giovanni, you know, I was going to say, where do you want to start? But I want to throw something at you straight off the bat first, and then we can go from there. What do you think? I want to show you this. I came across this this morning, and I think this sums up perfectly what we're dealing with here. It's from Zero Hedge. I'm going to throw it up on the screen. Thanks, everyone, by the way, for joining us. Questions, comments, throw them at us. Giovanni's also got his own Periscope up, so I'll probably be able to keep track of my one here. Keep an eye on your comments. If you want to ask something to Giovanni, just jump into his and ask him there. That's probably the easiest way. But check this out. A Tale of Two Americas. The media reacts to the memo. On MSNBC, Rachel Maddow was literally laughing. On Fox News, Sean Hannity put up his dukes. So I'm just going to read you a couple of quotes here, Giovanni, and then we'll go from there. This is Rachel Maddow. This was 2 weeks of, this memo is going to end everything. This memo, have you heard about the memo? Hashtag, release the memo. This memo will make Donald Trump innocent. This memo will put Robert Mueller in jail. It will abolish the FBI. The Justice Department will have to rename itself the Donald J. Trump and Family Private Security Task Force. I mean, I can't believe this is it. I really don't believe in the whole cable news wars idea. I know people who work across the street at the Fox News channel. I've got friends that work there. I think we're all doing our own thing in the best way we can. Apparently, despite all of that, they either didn't know or didn't notice that this thing they have been clamoring for and hyping for solid weeks, it actually disproves their whole point. They released this memo and proved that the dossier that started everything, the memo says the dossier didn't actually start anything. And then we jump over to Sean Hannity. Quote, when you put all this information together, here's what it means. The FBI misled and purposely deceived a federal court while using an unverified, completely phony opposition research bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton. We have never, ever in the history seen anything like this. and it was spearheaded not by rank-and-file members of the FBI intelligence community and Department of Justice. No, high-ranking officials. James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, and likely Loretta Lynch. But here's the bottom line. Crimes have been committed. There is no way that they did not know about the FBI that was lying to a FISA court in order to spy on an opposition campaign during an election year. They have aided and abetted what is a massive constitutional violation. Giovanni, we've been talking for about 6 months. I don't know anyone who's done as much background work into what we're dealing with right now as you have. Where do we start, and how can we, as just mere peasants, plot a course through these two competing narratives? And I know you deal in facts, so give us some facts and give us some kind of foundation to build on, if you could. Welcome to the show, by the way.
Welcome to the show. As you see behind me, I have a little board, and this board is my little timeline. And because I wanted to find out how much is going on in the last so many years, but the best place to actually start off on this whole thing would probably be at back around March of 2016. And the reason is because the Republican Party at that time, they knew that Donald Trump was going to win. So they handed off the dossier to the Democratic Party. Okay.
Well, can we even go before that? How did the dossier come about? How did it start? You know, like what led up to that point?
Paul Singer was supposedly the person that who was backed by Rubio, was the person that met with Fusion GPS's owner Glenn Simpson. So it would have been early 2016 that he would have met with them. Okay, and he then it was picked up by Podesta and the DNC, and in March is when everything kind of started to unfold, and by April is when we had this little bit of interference that we're talking about. It's not a little bit of interference. Let me explain it to you. Is that Obama used to be part of an organization called OFA, Obama for America.
It would be helpful if you put your face on camera rather than your armpit, just letting you know.
Okay. Wow.
Thank you. You're beautiful. Let the people see you. Let the people see you.
I can't see everything.
Camera loves you, baby.
The OFA has now changed its name. It's now called Organizing for Action, I believe it's called.
Okay.
And in March and April of 2016, they paid $972,000 to the law firm, and the name of the law firm is called Perkins Coie. And Perkins Coie, at the same exact time, took money from the DNC. Okay, supposedly. So, and it was the same attorney that was actually running it, and the same attorney that was running it was Mark Elias. Okay, it was at the same exact time. In other words, they were using a law firm as a laundering way, so that they could hide what was really going on. Okay, and after that, then came everything else. Okay, meaning we knew in the summer, June, July, August, we know that Glenn Simpson hired Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie Orr.
Nellie, yep.
Okay, just so people know who Bruce Orr was, he's the number 4 man in the FBI. Okay, and she was caught on Facebook bragging about it. Okay, like, you know, my husband's going to, you know, you have no idea what's going on. Yeah. So she was kind of bragging about it. So she was literally hired to do the opposition research. Here's the thing. She didn't do the research herself, even though she got hired. What they did was they hired Christopher Steele to do this opposition research. Okay, so it was like they lent it out, so to speak. But Christopher Steele had been working for the FBI for a long time. A lot of people don't realize that he had been working with the FBI for a long time. Okay, and what they want to know, and they're trying to figure out is whether or not Christopher Steele was getting directly paid by yes, that's the picture. Getting paid directly by um, the FBI.
Okay.
Nobody seems to want to answer that. Okay.
Am I right
Now,
in saying that these kinds of didn't the House Intelligence Oversight Committee actually subpoena these kinds of records from Fusion GPS because they refused to give up their financial records? Am I correct in that?
that is correct. One thing that we forgot to mention was a really important part in this was that when they tried to go to a FISA court hearing, the FISA court, to actually open up an investigation, not on Donald Trump, but on Carter Page, they were denied. Okay, everyone thinks that they were trying to do a investigation on Trump. That would have been very difficult to do, especially during an election year. So what they tried to do is they tried to go through Carter Page, who supposedly had some affiliation. Really hard to figure out what his affiliation or association with the Trump campaign is. The only thing that we do know is that he has been presented in front of the FISA court on three different occasions or four different occasions, and was turned down every time
Mm-hmm.
because he's like this outstanding individual, which leads to question: why do they keep trying to push this man forward as a Russian spy? And
Just before we just before we get into Carter Page, Giovanni, if I can, I've just brought this up from the Federalist. 5 things the FBI never told the FISA court about the Trump dossier. Number 2 here, interestingly, the FBI terminated Steele as a source for, quote, what the FBI defines as the most serious of violations. Steele was terminated
correct.
as a source to the FBI after he disclosed his relationship with the Bureau to the press in October 2016.
Correct.
They also had reason to believe that he might be politically biased. I learned shortly after the election, he told senior DOJ official in September 2016 that he was, quote, desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president. That creates a problem, doesn't it?
That was between the two FISA court appearances between them.
Incredible.
Okay, which right. So the thing is this: they knew that this dossier was fake, and one of the things that was pointed out on the Dan Bongino show is that when you go in front of a FISA court hearing, you also have to prove that your source is credible. And if you don't, you're lying to them. So they lied. They lied about the fact that they vetted their source as well.
Okay.
So my question was, who was the one that raised the right hand in front of the judge and said that they did that? Was that McCabe? Was that it was somebody high up? It was either McCabe or Stroke, somebody like that. I really believe it was one of those two or both together. My guess it was one of those two that did that. That said, yes, everything in here is credible, and it wasn't. It wasn't credible at all. And in fact, the Admiral Rogers tried putting it down once. All right, literally went.
Admiral Rogers, who was head of the NSA at the time, is that the guy? Yeah.
Yes, yes. He actually had a man. He sent a man with a report, and his name was John Carlin. And John Carlin, after he handed in that letter to the FISA court, he immediately resigned. When we find out that John Carlin was actually the chief of staff, former chief of staff, to none other than some guy named Robert Mueller.
Wow.
Nobody really. Yeah. So it's all tying in, yeah? All right. And then all of a sudden they get this approval in October. They get it. Now the party begins because how people keep forgetting how did they get the approval for it? Okay. Well, I mean, what did he actually do? They always wanted. I always hear from Democrats. They keep wanting to say things like, "Well, we're doing this to see if he did something bad." You don't just open up an investigation on somebody just because to see if they're bad.
No, you've got to
You
have
have to have
probable cause.
you got to have probable cause. What probable cause did they have? That Carter Page flew to Russia? That's the probable cause? And nobody even knew who the guy was. Same thing with Papadopoulos. And all of a sudden, he supposedly had dealings with Russia. What? Nobody even knew who he was.
Let me put this to you.
So,
is it possible then, and again, I'm only speaking hypothetically here, do you remember the meeting with the Russian lawyer?
Yes.
Remember the lawyer and met with Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr.? Yes.
Yeah.
Now, and it was rumored that she had information on Hillary Clinton or something of that nature. Correct. Now, I've heard it argued that the point of the meeting was not to give information. It wasn't to talk about adopting Russian babies. The point of the meeting was the meeting itself. Now, if you can present to a judge that somebody from the Trump campaign met with a Russian lawyer, you can say this lawyer has ties to such and such. But that didn't really last, did it? Because it found out that she had a special visa granted just to enter the country.
They caught her with this.
Yep.
You got it. She had a special visa that was only approved by one person, and that was approved by A.G. Lynch.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, and she had an expired visa, and believe it or not, she was turned down by somebody who's an anti-Trumper. She was turned down by Preet Bharara, who is definitely not a Trump supporter. He's an attorney general from New York. He turned her down. So she turned around after that and got a special visa from Attorney General Lynch, who works directly for the Obama administration. And then she proceeded, she keeps denying, it was really odd because I saw the Fox interview today. She first claimed that she didn't see the guy. Then she claims, okay, maybe he was in the room. Then when the Fox interviewer said he's hard to miss, he's like 6'5" or 6'6", he's a big opposing guy, hard to really miss. And then she's like, oh, well, yeah, he may have been in the room. So all of a sudden, her story started changing. But she met with Simpson before and after the meeting. And that's where the information was traded. You got it. That's her, Veselnitskaya.
A little comment on Periscope here, Giovanni, from Girl for Good. Side note, Preet Bharara was let go by the Trump admin and now works on Mueller's team.
Yes, he did. He was hired right after that. Not immediately, like 2 months later, after the team was pretty much up, he was hired by Mueller to be part of the investigative team.
Okay.
Interesting, yeah?
Jobs for the boys. Let's talk about Carter Page. Who is he? Why is he important? Why has he become, the sort of centerpiece of this entire malarkey? And, do you think there's anything more to the Carter Page angle?
Okay. What is being said, and I even heard it on Fox. I'm going to tell you how it's being said and reported. They're reporting that this Navy grad was an outstanding man that graduated top 10% of his class, and he is somehow affiliated with oil business and finance as well. And that's pretty much how, he's just a private citizen, blah blah blah. That's how it's pretty much reporting. Okay, that the FBI has targeted this man to destroy this man in order to try to destroy Trump. That's how even Tucker Carlson posed it. But what created a light bulb moment for me, Boogie, was this. I said immediately after that, he had somebody on his show. I wish you could actually put that interview that he had with somebody. And what they said was,
we can. Tucker Carlson? I can look for it while you're talking if you give me the details.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson. He asked the person, what what is the percentage of people that actually get through the FISA court? And he either said 98 or 99%. It was like really high. And I'm sitting there going, wait a second. And yet this guy's been turned down 4 times. Why are they after him? And how come he never gets through? So a light bulb moment went off to me. And when I sat there and I said, I don't think they ever want him to get through. I think they're using him as bait in order to say, we believe this guy's a Russian spy. We've been following him since 2013, and now he's dealing with Donald Trump.
Okay. If anyone on Periscope can
Do you
let me
understand what I'm
know,
saying?
yes, if anyone on Periscope can let me know the name of the guy who Tucker did the interview with, though, that would be fantastic. So carry on, Giovanni.
It was a young guy. He was a liberal, believe it or not.
Okay.
He did the interview. If somebody could actually just cue in on the or just give me or Boogie the URL. I'm actually, I can't do it right now. All my screens are tied up, or else I'd do it. But all you have to do is look up Tucker Carlson tonight, and put Tucker Carlson tonight and put it on for today. You'll see that it was actually today's interview.
Okay.
Okay. So it's that recent. So you can, and then all you have to do is just, it's a young guy. He's not white looking. I want to say maybe even Arabic or Hispanic. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Do you know which one I'm talking about, guys? Do you guys? Okay. So it was today, or it's yesterday actually. So, but if you cue it in, if you go to YouTube and just put Tucker Carlson tonight, you get it. Anyway.
Okay.
So my argument there was, wait a second, Tucker Carlson, you know what? I think you're onto something, but I think you missed the mark.
Okay.
I think that he could be a lackey for the FBI.
Okay.
I mean, they have no intention of it.
Carter Page apparently has, about a 3 or 4 year history with the intelligence community in one respect or another.
Yes.
You're suggesting he was embedded for the purpose of perhaps, uncovering or, just being a man on the inside to direct?
Allowing entrance for FISA, because they'll sit there and say, this guy is already being investigated by the FBI and has been investigated for the last 3 years. Okay? Irregardless whether or not he's been caught.
Okay.
But if you're a judge and you see that this guy's actually gone in front of the FISA court on 3 different occasions, and now he's with the president-elect, Donald Trump, ooh. Okay, and then he has a trip to Russia the very next day, ooh, it creates this narrative, this false sensation narrative, even though he literally, Carter Page literally was a general manager for Merrill Lynch, Moscow. I mean, come on. Of course, he has dealings in Russia.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
He worked for Merrill Lynch. Right?
Lynn says the judge could have been dirty as well. I just remember the judge on the FISA court. For some reason, it's sticking in my brain that there was a change at the FISA court and a particular judge who was an Obama appointee, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, don't get me wrong. But he was put in right before, or, after a couple of these warrants were rejected, he was put in and then it was approved. Now, I could be wrong on that and I'm happy to be corrected, but for some reason that sticks in my memory bank.
Yeah.
And he later recused himself.
Yeah. He recused himself just recently. Yeah.
Yep.
And so that is something that people are looking at, and they will look at that, by the way. Now, let's go through all of this. So everything happens in October, November for the most part. So Trump gets elected, which is something before that, late October, the FBI has information that New York Police Department has dirty information on the Wiener laptop.
Yes, yes. There were various people in the alternative media, like Doug Hagman, for example, who's worked for 30 years as a private investigator with the FBI, with local police departments. He's got contacts all over the country. He said on
Yep.
day one he was bullish on it.
And,
He was strong, and
yeah,
he came out and said, I have contacts in the NYPD, and they are telling me the stuff that is on Anthony Weiner's laptop could be the thing that brings the whole house of cards down, but they don't know how to go about it. They
absolutely.
don't know how to release it.
Right, because the FBI has actually, I don't either threatened or begged them to never release it.
Yes.
Now we have personal friends that are part of the New York City Police Department, and they told me that the videos that they actually have on there are real. I said, why? Then how come no one's releasing it? They said they can't. They don't know how. They don't know how to release it. They don't, and not be caught. I was like, oh, so nobody wants to be the person that is caught releasing it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the first one over the wall is the one who takes the most bullets in the chest, Giovanni. That's the problem.
Yeah, yeah, and that's and or their family.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. So
okay, so let's go from there. Let's go from the Wiener
anyway,
laptop.
what
What
happened?
happened?
What happened is the FBI says we better handle this. We better take care of it. We better take care of it. So they open up an investigation on the 30th of or 29th or 30th of October. Like, well, we have more information. Like they're the good, as if they're the good guys. But what they really did was they shut it down.
I've just got a question here, Giovanni. If you could answer, sorry, might help. Someone's asking videos of what? What kind of videos were on the laptop? What's been alleged anyway?
Well, there have been some sexual allegations that were alleged. One of them, a pedophilia of Hillary and Huma Abedi raping a young girl.
We're talking child sex trafficking. Child sex.
Child sex. Yeah, that was one of them. They said it was so disturbing that there were people in tears. It was really that bad. And this came from my friend who's a cop in the New York City Police Department. Okay. So it was so bad that the cops were flustered. And I said, for you to fluster a cop, that's pretty bad.
Sure.
So anyway, they don't know how to release it. And when they say that this could literally bring down the house of cards, something like that absolutely can bring down the house of cards.
Could tear the country apart.
Yeah, it could tear it apart. So that's why they're. So anyway, so they take it from the New York City Police and they do a 10-day investigation. So we did the investigation. It's all good to go. Now Hillary claims that cost her the election. What Republicans are saying is Comey never thought she was going to lose. That this was his way of saying, look at what I did, huh? I eliminated all of this for you. Now you have a clear pathway. Okay? Nobody, and I mean nobody, thought she was going to lose except Trump supported us. Nobody. And I mean, it was 98% that she was, the day of the election was 98%. It was stupid high.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
So it was literally ridiculous. Okay? And then she loses. So anyway, that goes through. That happens in late October, early November. Trump wins. They set up a skiff in his house. It takes approximately 10 days. On the final day of the skiff being set up, who goes back into Trump Towers was Admiral Rogers.
The head of the NSA at the time.
Correct. Still is.
And apparently the NSA has surveillance capabilities that go above and beyond the CIA and the FBI, and we know that there's a lot of competition between the various agencies, Giovanni. I think that's fair. It's been long rumored that there's been an internal war between the CIA and the NSA. And, if anybody, the people who have the ability to scoop up huge amounts of data, we're talking phone calls, emails, it's the NSA, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. So anyway, he goes in there and on the 17th of November. And what he does was unprecedented. He goes and tells Trump, "You're being spied on." Trump immediately packs up everything and moves to Bedminster the very next day and does all of his interviews from Bedminster, New Jersey. Do you guys remember that? He just all of a sudden he's like, I'm boom. And all these little fuckwads thought he was going golfing. No, he wasn't going golfing. He was trying to avoid the NSA and FBI or FBI and CIA, all these people. And for him, he's very fortunate is he owns several golf courses across the country. He's able to pop up at a second's notice.
He's got safe houses.
And yeah, like little safe houses. You got it. And and you don't think Mar-a-Lago to him is not a safe house? Please.
Sure.
Please. It's a safe house for him. He knows that he can't be spied on there. Okay? So that's a safe house for him. All right. So people always think he's heading there probably to for going golfing. And I'm thinking he's probably going there so he could actually have private conversations. He met Abe there. He met Xi Jinping there. He met many of the world leaders at his place in Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He takes them out on the golf course. I always just thought, though, Giovanni, maybe perhaps naively, that, you know, after being in business, top-level business for about 30 or 40 years, you know, business guys do deals on the golf course. I mean, this is a hard reality, you know. If you can't play golf, you don't get the deal. You don't get the deal.
Yeah, especially Abe, who's Japanese.
Oh, yeah, they love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so he goes to the golf course. What happens immediately after he goes to Bedminster? What's the very next thing that happens?
Remind us.
Obama tries to remove Admiral Rogers.
Yep, just had that up on the screen. Top Obama military official under fire as he meets Trump.
Right. You got it. Because he did not tell the Obama administration that he was going there. He went on his own and warned them. That pissed off Obama, so Obama asked for his resignation, and he wouldn't give it. So they tried to put him in front of a hearing, a Democratic hearing, and they tried to put him in front of a hearing.
Like an ethics meeting or something?
Yeah, ethics, yeah, and nothing happened, okay? And nothing went through, okay? And so immediately they go after the next person in line, which would have been the National Security Advisor. Well, Trump already had one in place, and his name was Mike Flynn.
Yep.
You got it. But General Flynn made a boo-boo. He went on vacation. He went on vacation to Dominican Republic, where he was receiving phone calls, knowing that he was being monitored.
He knew? Like, how do we know that he knew? How can we timeline that?
Bongino says that. Bongino said there's no way he could not know that.
Okay.
There's no way that the position that he's in, that he cannot know that he's not being monitored all the time. There's no way. He just said something wrong. Huh?
The stakes are too high.
Yes, the stakes are way too high. They like, there's no way that they could not have known. Okay. All right. So, and they believe that the Russians called him in regards to the information, and they nabbed him that way. So that's how it happened. And so they nabbed Flynn. But who are the people that were involved in letting Trump know that? One of them happened to be someone who signed off on one of the FISA applications.
Mm-hmm.
Sally Yates.
Sally Yates, unmasking.
Yes.
Okay.
So Sally Yates knew that Flynn lied. How did she know that right away? Before it's like Sally Yates knew it, and then they replaced. It was amazing how coincidental they placed that with Dana Benta, when Dana Benta was the next person in line, and he also signed off on it the very next. So she leaves, and he signs off on So Bento was also part of this as well because he also signed off on it.
Okay.
Okay. It goes deeper, deeper, and deeper. Okay. All right.
How many people
Now,
are tied up in this thing?
oh my God, Rosenstein. Who recommends Rosenstein? Is it Trump? No. Trump didn't recommend him.
It was Sessions, wasn't it?
Yes, Sessions had worked with this guy.
I remember in one of the House committees, I forget which one it was probably dealing with the Russia investigation, under severe questioning from Senator Al Franken.
Yeah.
He was asked, do you trust Rod Rosenstein? And Jeff Sessions said, I've worked with Rod Rosenstein for 20 or 30 years. I do trust him. I consider him a friend.
Exactly. Now we have a problem. How much do we trust Sessions? But there's a couple of things that go on with that. There's a couple of ways you can look at what's going on. One, they were either blind to it. Trump was either blind to it, and they just were trying to get him. That's one way of looking at it. Two, Sessions knows is trying to pull himself out of this and look clean. And the third one that I heard, and this one, if it is true, is the best sting of all time. And this would be, if you've ever seen the movie The Sting, this would top it.
Okay.
This would be that Trump or Sessions knew it and set up with Trump and Mattis, because nobody believes that neither one of these guys could have done this sting themselves without Mattis. They think Mattis is that bright a guy, and I do too. I think Mattis is a freaking genius. Okay, so and they believe that the only way was to bring them in even closer, because why would you bring in somebody like Christopher Wray? Why would you bring him in? Why would you bring in Rosenstein?
Just on Christopher Wray, since you mentioned it, I find we'll get back. I want to keep going with what you're saying, but I just want to interject. The Christopher Wray angle I find intriguing in that he's a guy who was appointed, and now all of the paper talk, and it could just be paper talk, don't get me wrong, but it's like he has to go, Trump has to fire him, and I'm thinking, well, Trump hired this guy. He knew this guy. He has all the Trump as the commander-in-chief has the ability to go through all the kinds of records that you and I would never ever see. It would never see the light of day. He knows what this guy eats for breakfast, right? So how does he get into that position if only a couple of weeks later? And I mean, a lot of this stuff we're talking about happened long before Christopher Wray was made boss of the FBI. So why is he there?
And if you remember that nobody recommended, Rosenstein did not recommend him or Sessions, which was interesting because who they recommended was crap. They recommended crap. Okay. But I mean, they were recommending people like Corker. They were recommending a former presidential, a vice presidential nominee of McCain's. Okay. What was his name? He was a Jewish guy. What was his name? He begins with L. Anyway, he just kind of switched parties. One day he's a Republican, one day he's a Democrat. Kind of like McCain himself.
He sounds like a shoo-in then, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Right. He sounds like a perfect McCain buddy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and so these were the people that people were like, no way, no how. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Trump picks this guy. And I'm like, why did he pick him?
A lot of people like, who is he? Who is he? I've never heard of him.
Who is he?
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden, Trump picks him. And is this a way of draining the swamp further? Meaning, bring him in as close as you possibly can. Bring him in, bring him in, bring him in, bring him in. We can't get Mueller if he's out. We can't get him. He's out. He was retired. He was done. He was done. How else can you get the guy for Uranium One? How else can you get the guy for this? Well, this is treason if they tries to do this crap. So you can bring them in. How else can you get Rosenstein unless you bring them in? And I'm like, oh, if that was Mattis's idea, because I'll be honest with you, Boogie, I don't think that Sessions was bright enough to do it himself. I believe if anyone thought of this idea, if this was a sting like this, it's the greatest sting of all time, because the chances that they had to, what they have to put themselves into to do this is incredible amount of heat. You know, you got to bring in Rosenstein, who's going to bring in Mueller, who's going to bring in Stroke, who's going to bring in Orr and Page and McCabe. Holy crap! I mean, you're bringing in a lot of crap, right? So, and then you got to bring in Christopher Wray. I was like, whoa. So, if it was that, it's the greatest sting of all time. I literally will about tip my hat to Sessions, but I don't believe it was him.
How about this? A question without notice, Giovanni, from Good Girl in the chat. She said, why did Trump meet with Mueller the day before? That's been spoken about a lot.
Many times. Because you know that he's already over his 10 years. He was at 12 years already.
Yep.
So why did he meet with him? All right. So one rumor that went out, and I heard this from a bunch of people who follow Q, is that they said they warned him. They warned him and said, we got all this crap on you from Uranium One. And if he's the one that's going to be excused, and he has to make it look like he's after Trump, he's doing a damn good job. Okay? He's doing a damn good job because nobody believes that he's looking at the other side. Do you? Does anyone here believe he's looking on the correct side of this at all? Nobody. Look at who he's put in. There. See this list right here?
Go to it.
This is his team. This is his team. Right
Go through
here.
them. Go through them.
Okay. Andrew Weissman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Peter Stroke. Jeannie Reed, who worked on the same law firm as Mueller. Okay. And was a huge Clinton supporter. Lisa Page. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Preet Bharara. We ain't done. It keeps going on, man. Aaron S.J. Zelinsky. James Quarles. I mean, you got Zainab Ahmad. Ahmad is 13-0 record against prosecuting terrorists since 2009. Greg Andres is an expert on foreign bribery.
Wow.
Okay. Michael Dreeben, he's one of the top criminal law experts rated in 2013, 14, 15, and 16 in the country. Andrew Goldstein, expert on prosecuting money laundering and asset forfeiture. Adam Jed, appellate law in Justice Department. Laura Barkas Proliger. She speaks fluent Russian. She's former clerk to Elena Kagan and Bader Ginsburg.
This is an all-star team.
Yeah. They went after the whole shebang, man.
Yep.
The whole shebang. It wasn't like I'm sitting there going, "Where's the Republican on this thing?" I'm like, "Hello."
What does it say then? What does it say then, Giovanni, to be at this stage and have only a historic money laundering indictment against Paul Manafort, which he's contesting, I might add, and getting Michael Flynn on what they call a what's the word? A process crime, right?
You got it, process crime. You got it. And what is the process crime under? It's under a law that nobody has ever filed under. It was like what's it called? The Logan Act.
Logan Act.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
We could actually be prosecuting John Kerry right now if we wanted to, or Barack Obama right now if we wanted to.
Joe Biden with his son running the oil firm in the Ukraine after the coup.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So, and the last one I said was Zelensky worked directly under Rod Rosenstein.
Okay.
When I say all-star team, this team was designed to bring him down.
Yep.
And
so you think it's a little naive for people to say Mueller's playing the good guy here, but just based on his actions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So I have a hard time. So if he is doing it, it's the greatest sting of all time. So if he did meet with him, and I know there's no way that Trump was going to offer him the position. He couldn't. He's already been there for 12 years. The new law was 10 years, so he's already over it. Did he invite him there to ask for it? Did he invite him there knowing that this was going to happen? And if it is this, the sting was already created. If that was the case, then Rod Rosenstein, no way, no how, was in that room, because how could he have been? You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're going to be setting up a coup against Rod Rosenstein and everyone that you bring on board. Okay.
Interesting.
On who else is a crooked FBI guy that we can bring in as an FBI agent so we can trap him? I mean, like I said, if you're doing this, it's the greatest coup of all time. Sure. I mean, it's the greatest. What do you want to call it? Not coup. Greatest sting of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, whoa.
Yep.
So they have tried counter coups and coups throughout this whole process to bring him down.
What about Rod Rosenstein? He's pretty much gone under the radar a lot, even with the conservative press. With the release of this memo, Giovanni, does heat now come onto him? Does the spotlight go onto Rod Rosenstein?
I sent you something that was just sent today. Yes. This guy is crooked as hell. Okay. And he actually went to Devin Nunes and several other members in the on the House Intelligence Committee and threatened them. And maybe you can pull that up. What was actually said by
I've got a short clip here from Sarah Carter if we want to play that.
Perfect.
Okay, it only goes for 90 seconds. Okay, we'll play it. We'll play this short clip from Sarah Carter explaining.
Yeah, right. None of which was true.
No sources and methods.
Yeah. All right, let me go to Sarah. Sarah, it was about a year ago you broke this story. My sources tell me this is just the tip of the spear, the tip of the iceberg, and that there's so much more to come. I was given a percentage, about 15% of what is coming. What are your sources telling you? You were dead on accurate on March 8th of last year.
My sources are telling me it's 10% of what is coming. So maybe there's even more, Sean, out there than what we expect. And this is even more important. The investigation is now going to be reversed. I know that members of Congress are going to call for a special counsel to investigate the investigators. There is going to be a number of people involved in this. Also, the information, as you reported, that's going to the IG, they're going to look at criminality here. Was there anything criminal going on? And from what appearances look like, there was. So they lied to the FISA courts, allegedly, and that's what they're going to be looking at. I tell you, Sean, this is just the beginning. This is not the end, and the investigation is in reverse.
Last thoughts. Where is this going?
I don't know, but I can tell you a congressional source tells me that Rod Rosenstein, in a meeting 3 weeks ago, threatened the Chairman Nunes and members of Congress that he was going to subpoena their texts and messages because he was tired of dealing with the Intel Committee. That's threats and intimidation and retaliation.
All of you have been...
There you go. Big bombshell accusation there, just to throw in just before the break, just before we cut to the break, Jeff. Greg?
I've heard this before. I had to mute this, or you had to mute this. I've heard that. By the way, guys, that's Greg Jarrett there. That person is the person who created that email. And Sarah Carter is one fabulous reporter. If you want to talk about what a reporter should be like, that's what a reporter should be like.
She's been fearless on this. Absolutely fearless.
Oh, yeah. So,
okay. So pressure comes onto Rod Rosenstein. Now, who has the ability to do anything about this? If some people contend that Jeff Sessions is compromised, then he's not going to do anything. If he's not, yeah.
Only two people can do anything. Only two.
Sessions and Trump. Yep.
Sessions. You got it. Sessions would have to unrecuse himself and fire him. And this is the thing. Sessions should unrecuse himself and not put the pressure on the president to have to do it. He should. If he really is a team player, he would do that.
How would that look politically, though, if Sessions were to unrecuse himself?
Doesn't matter. This is what I'm saying is who's going to fall on the sword, him or Trump. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
All right. So what's he going to do? Let Trump do it? Is he going to sit there and he's going to let his boss, the president of the United States, be the one to do it? If he has to do it like that, that says a lot about Sessions.
Do you remember about 6 months ago, Giovanni, do you remember when Donald Trump made the very public claim that I didn't hire Jeff Sessions to recuse himself from the investigation. If I hadn't known he was going to do that, I wouldn't have hired him in the first place?
Now
that sheds a new light on it, doesn't it?
Yep. So this right here would be his opportunity right now to make up for all of this. If he has to let the president do it, and I'm not saying that the president doesn't have the balls to do it. Trust me, I think he has the balls to do it. So don't push the president, President Trump. He definitely has the balls to do it. The question is, does Sessions? And over the last year, I don't see it. The last 10 months, I don't see he has the balls to do it. If it's something that makes him look politically, he kind of backs out of it.
Okay.
Now, like I said, I don't know if this is a major sting operation or not, but here's his chance to make the president not have to face the fire directly.
Okay. Let me put a counter argument to you and see how we go with this. Okay. Now work with me here. Jeff Sessions, I'll put this proposition to you. Jeff Sessions he's currently dealing with around, I think, a dozen open investigations relating from all things to the Clinton email scandal, vote rigging in various states, the DHS apparently tampering with vote counting machines in a few different states. He's dealing with corruption in the DOJ and the FBI. He has open investigations in both of these things. Now, people accuse Jeff Sessions of not doing a lot, not being vocal enough. Would it be possible,
right,
in the context of all of these current ongoing investigations, that the most prudent way to ensure an investigation goes through without any kind of legal loophole? Because again, if we're dealing with the type of people that they are accused of being, they only need one loophole. These people have teams of powerful lawyers who spend their life's work looking for loopholes, and if there's one loophole, everything goes down the toilet. Yeah. They're gone, and you can't get them again. You only get one shot at bringing down people with so much power. Is it possible then that he's been quiet for the specific reason that if there is criminal activity operating at a high level, and what you want them to do is to carry on as normal without any heat on them, because you want them doing business as usual? That's what you need in order to gather evidence. And I'll throw one more thing in to back up this argument. Recently, forgot my train of thought. Very recently, in regards to the release of the FISA memo, Jeff Sessions, you'll remember, actually came out himself and argued that it should not be released. Is it possible? Some people said, oh, this proves that he's compromised. My thought was, and again, it's just a thought, it could be possible that he doesn't want the memo to be released because he has ongoing investigations himself, and it will make his job harder if a lot more attention is focused on these people. Is that a possibility or not?
That he has investigations on
yes.
whom? On himself?
No, on the Department of Justice before he got there, the FBI, the Clinton email scandal.
Yeah. Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Andrew McCabe, for example.
Yeah.
So remember, Jeff Sessions very quietly said, I don't think it's a good idea to release this memo. It could jeopardize things, right?
Correct.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he's compromised.
Or he's playing ball. One of the two.
It could be.
Because you know what? Because there was nothing in that memo that would have compromised anything. Mm-hmm. We looked at, I've read that memo many times. There's nothing in it that actually compromises national security. So that brings a point. Why the hell did the Democrats say that? Why did they just keep repeating that this compromised national security? And then the second it comes out, play the opposite card like, that's it? What do you mean that's it? You knew what was in it. You knew what was in it.
Yeah. This is the thing that I've been struggling with the most, Giovanni, and this is the thing for me that delegitimizes the common liberal narrative on this. And it's not to say that they don't have some merit in regards to perhaps presidential overreach, but that's yet to be unearthed for mine. This doesn't prove it. But the fact, when we look at the timeline here from Adam Schiff, for me, suggests that we are dealing with someone who's playing kind of racquetball with, you know, they're trying to just hit everything back. So they're just doing oppositional things, whatever it takes at the time. So his first stance was there's nothing in the memo. It's just Republican talking points. Then when it got closer to releasing it, he said, you absolutely must not release the memo because it will damage everything. Then he said, okay, release the memo, but you need to release our memo as well. So now he wants to double the amount of secret information that's going out. And then when it was released, he's gone back to the first position, which was there's nothing to see here. It's just Republican talking points. For me, that doesn't make any cognitive linear sense whatsoever.
Nothing at all. None at all.
No.
And everyone was like, wait a second. And the Democratic one actually had to be redacted because it was including sources.
Yes.
So it was like, what are you talking about? Your Democratic one would have to be redacted. Theirs did not. Now, if you want to say something's missing, great. Release the missing information. We'll be happy to have it. So the thing is, there's really nothing missing. All right. So, and I find it interesting when people are talking about the fact that, you know, there's nothing there. Well, folks, we have already thought about this process before it was even released. So it's not that nothing was there. We have already proven this. We just needed confirmation. And we needed so once it was voiced out in confirmation, once it was unredacted, then it goes from a conspiracy theory to ta-da, it's there. Okay, so that's why it had to come out. It had to come out because we were sick and tired of all these jackasses saying everything you talk about is damn conspiracy theory. No, it's reality. This is what happened. So it was really important that it had to come out, that America could see it. And now when you look at the most important things that it actually had, the most important thing was in December when McCabe said the FISA report would have never been issued, or the application would have never been issued without the .ca. That was huge.
Because that was rejected from the Democrats from the beginning. They said, oh, no, the dossier didn't lead to the warrant and whatnot. Now you've got the FBI director who's since, you know, quote unquote, been retired a day after the sitting director, Christopher Wray, read the memo himself. The timing is horrible here. If you're saying that there's nothing to this story, the timing of events doesn't speak to that. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything, but it doesn't help the argument that there's nothing to see here. Just the sheer timing of the events.
I saw something, I believe it was on True Pundit, and where McCabe was actually screaming, shouting, and threatening.
Yep.
Saying, if you don't pay me with all my benefits, I will bring this place down.
Yes, yesterday I was talking, our man Ted Dabrowski's in the chat. He did a Periscope about the memo last night. I was talking to him. A lot of the paper talk yesterday morning in the States was, you know, McCabe threatens to go nuclear on the FBI. And I don't know, is it paper talk or is it, you know, because we are in a world now of, you know, hyperbole in the press. I don't know how much there is to it. And just while we're on Ted Dabrowski, he backed up your assertion last night in his Periscope, Giovanni, that, you know, the memo itself, a lot of the stuff that's in the memo, we suspected already. You know, we're not dealing with new information here. Yeah.
You nailed it. Yeah, we already had it.
Okay.
It was already, all we needed was just confirmation. Like I said, what happens is we have already Sudoku puzzled this all the way down to the very last digit. And as we did, and they're counting to see if all the numbers match, the 1 through 9s all match. What they're saying is, this is still conspiracy theory. And we're like, no, it's all done. It's matched. Okay. So all we needed is to come out. Therefore, it goes from being a conspiracy to, here you go. Now we have action verified with proof. Boom. Move on. All right. And that's what they didn't want. They don't want that next step process to ever go. They want it to always lie as a conspiracy. But now they can't lie it as a conspiracy. Now it's out there. Now you, as the Democrat, have to disprove it. And that's what they don't want to do. Holy shit. Now we got to go actually disprove this after we just called you a liar? Yeah, prove it. We just said it's all a fact. So if you're saying that it's all a bullshit, which one? Which part?
Giovanni,
okay, now
what happens now? Because I tend to think, and I want to get your thoughts on this, I tend to think we're now beyond the stage of the politics. I don't think the politics are going to be particularly relevant.
It's
I
constitutional crisis.
We are now, yeah, we're entering a new phase of this thing, and it's going to snowball. And there's going to be a lot of posturing from the Democrats in particular, and probably by the Republicans as well. There's going to be a lot of attempts to direct this in the liberal media complex down certain avenues that lead back to the president trying to obstruct justice. I don't think any of that's going to work now, because now it will go beyond the politics. It's going to go into the intelligence realm, the authorities realm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's going to go to the Supreme Court, because here's the constitutional crisis. The FBI believes that they are their own entity. Okay. The fact of the matter is, Democrats, by the way, I hate you guys always forget the law and you always forget civics unless it's dependent on you. They are not part of the legislative branch. They are part of the executive branch.
Yes, correct.
The executive branch, the top of the executive branch is the president. Next one down is his cabinet.
Yep.
After his cabinet lies the Attorney General. The Attorney General works for President Trump. If in case that he's doing many, many things, the deputy AG is responsible in the head of the FBI.
It even says, I believe, in the FBI manifesto or mission statement or whatever you want to say it, the director of the FBI serves at the pleasure of the president, if I'm not mistaken.
Got it. That's exactly. He is the president's secret police force. But what has happened over years is the secret police force thinks they're above the law. They think they can do whatever they want.
Hey, this isn't even a new thing. This is one of my big bugbears. Sorry to interrupt. You know, people, I'm watching like Morning Joe, Giovanni, and CNN, the breakfast shows in the States, and I'm watching these liberal media personalities saying, we can't believe that somebody in the FBI would be attempting to control the political process. And I'm thinking, you fucking liars. We knew J. Edgar Hoover was doing it 40 fucking years ago. Yeah. Everybody knew that the FBI was controlling presidents. Everybody knew that the FBI was spying on politicians and bribing them and blackmailing them. And now you're going to treat us like idiots in the age of technology and pretend like there's no possible way it could ever happen. Go shit in your hat. That's pure rubbish.
Absolutely. You don't think that Comey would have had something on Hillary? He had that job. It was sewed up. He would have said, "Oh, she would have been fired. She would have fired him." I was like, "Not in your lifetime would she have fired him."
Well, didn't we find out? Didn't Comey end the investigation essentially before it started? Wasn't that another revelation that's come out in this process? We haven't even touched on that. We've left out like 80%. We've been talking for an hour. We haven't even touched on a lot of this stuff.
The whole July 4th scenario is what you're talking about.
Yes.
And how they, for the first time in FBI history, they do an interview without ever recording it.
Incredible.
And they give pardons to all of these people and they take their laptops, and I'm sitting there going, whoa. Cheryl Mills? Why does Cheryl Mills get a pardon for what? What does she get a pardon for? So all these people get a pardon for what? So what they were doing was protecting themselves. Okay? Many of these things were done in privacy and were not supposed to be caught. Just 4 or 5 days earlier, A.G. Lynch was caught on a tarmac in Arizona meeting with former president Bill Clinton.
Yes, but they were only talking about holidays and children's parties and stuff, Giovanni, you remember.
Yeah, for 30 minutes, for 30 something minutes. Yeah. Baloney. They could have done that on the airplane. They didn't need to they didn't need to do a special flight in order to talk about that. We know it and you know it. It was all utter bullshit. Okay?
A question on
What bothers
Periscope.
me is that,
Yep, sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
A question on Periscope. Maybe you can address this. And I think this is a question a lot of Americans will be asking themselves, you know, moving forward in this whole thing, Giovanni. How does the relationship between the FBI and the White House, is it repairable at this point? Is it broken? Is the trust is the trust in the public for the FBI, is that severed now? You know, are we entering?
We trust all of the boots. We trust all of the boots. We just don't trust the suits. So the 7th floor has to be eliminated, and you can start all over. But that doesn't mean you have to get rid of all the boots. Many of the boots are very, very, very good people. Okay? You don't have to dismantle it all the way down to the other core. You just have to dismantle the 7th floor.
Okay, yep. I think that's fair enough. You know, I think it's a bit of a straw man when people say... Yeah,
dismantle the suits, not the boots.
I think it's a straw man, Giovanni, when people say Donald Trump is at war with the FBI. I'm constantly batting that back and saying, no, having an issue with a few select people at the FBI who may or may not have operated outside of their jurisdiction in an unethical manner is not the same as impugning an entire organization. So, you know, it's a straw man to say Donald Trump just hates the FBI. I'm like, nope, that's really first level thinking. That's dumb. You know, you would refer to it as a +5 comment. It's a lot more complex than that. It's nuanced.
Absolutely.
By design.
He trusts the boots, but not the suits. Absolutely. Sounds like somebody wrote that. Yeah, he trusts the boots big time, but not the suits. And well, here's the thing.
Yep.
Many of the boots aren't trusting the suits. I heard Don Jr. say that he had, on his last trip, no less than 7 people that were in the FBI come to him and say, please have your father fix this. Please have your father fix this. You know, that means they love working for the FBI, but they don't like people thinking that they're the bad person. Okay? Because there's thousands and thousands of good FBI agents that are truly good people. Okay? People get into the FBI because they believe in law and order. Okay, they just got to get rid of all the politicized suits on the top. That's it. Okay, that's it.
So what happens next? What happens next? What's the next? What's the next shoe to drop, so to speak, to use a term?
Next shoe to drop is going to be Rosenstein, and we don't know how it's going to happen. Who's going to be the one? I have a feeling that. I have a feeling it's going to be Trump that's going to let him go. And then they're going to try this whole talk about impeachment bullshit again.
Obstruction of justice.
Yep. Absolutely. They're going to try to talk that whole bullshit again. Okay. That's why and the reason I think he's doing that is, if you've noticed his last few tweets, he keeps talking about how there's nothing there. Why is he saying that so much now? The reason he's saying it over and over and over now is when he fired, he goes, obstruct for what? There's nothing there. I'm firing a bad person. There's nothing there. Okay? So he's repeating it in his tweets now. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. I just want everyone to know there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Why is he repeating that? I keep saying to myself. A lot of people think Trump is stupid. I go, no, he doesn't. He speaks in code. So you got to sit there and think, why is he saying that? He's saying that because he plans on firing the guy. And he wants all of us to know they're going to come after him again. And he's going to say, hey, there's nothing there. There's no collusion to begin with. So he's pushing that narrative once again. There you go. Look at the date. When was that in?
That was today, wasn't it? Today or yesterday?
Yeah, read it. Right.
Yep. This memo totally vindicates Trump in the probe, it says. Let me just go to it again, sorry. This Trump totally vindicates Trump. I like how he talks of himself in the third person. In probe, but the Russian witch hunt goes on and on. There was no collusion, there was no obstruction. The word now used because after 1 year of looking endlessly and finding nothing, collusion is dead. This is an American disgrace.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they keep pushing on this,
No, look, how many times did they say that? They say, yeah, this memo totally vindicates Trump. There's one.
Yep.
But the Russian witch, but number 2, Russian witch hunt goes on.
Yep.
It's number 2.
No collusion.
3, there was no collusion. That's the third one.
Yep.
And here's the 4th one. And there was no obstruction. Okay. Boom. So in the first sentence, 4 things he just said. No, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. Okay. Beautifully constructed sentence. Wonder if he did that while he was taking a crap. Wonderful.
When he was having a couple of scoops of ice cream, Giovanni.
Yeah, a couple scoops of ice cream.
If they keep going on this, if they keep pushing on this, and they don't let it go, is it going to get to the point where somebody is brought before a grand jury, someone will turn against Trump, and Trump gets indicted? Can you see that happening? With knowing what we know, think about the IG's report that's coming out next month. People are saying that's going to roll on.
I think that's how he's going to. I think that's how he's going to time it. I honest to God, I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to time it. So, what could be Trump's step to sit there and one, he can't go to right now because of all the heat on him. He can't go over to Sessions and say, "I want you to fire Rosenstein."
No, that's political suicide.
That's political suicide.
He has to, at least for perception, he has to at least keep himself at arm's length from this entire thing, which, to be fair, I think he's done. With this, a lot of people have said, oh, he's trying to stop the Russia investigation. If you actually look at it, objectively, unbiasedly, he really hasn't. From day one, he's maintained, no, let the investigation go. I'm happy to talk with him. I don't care. They're not going to find anything. This is a waste of time, but, do what you got to do kind of thing. Go ahead, do your little investigation, but you're not going to find anything.
Yeah, what did he also say yesterday to separate himself? One more time, he said, I gave it to Congress for them to do something about it.
Yes.
And then it was reported today that there are members in Congress who are looking at treason with these individuals.
Let me bring that up.
So,
talk on that if you could. Okay.
Yeah, so... Again, if that's members in Congress talking about it, it's not him. They will try to present it.
Because it's not a dictatorship. Because it's not a dictatorship.
Huh?
Because it's not a dictatorship. Yeah.
You got it. So then they can't sit there and say Trump did it. Trump did it. No. The Republican members in Congress are looking to bring them up for treason. Whether it goes through will depend upon how many rhinos and neocons there are. But other than that, if not, everyone should be voting for it. Remember, the House only needs a simple majority.
Yes, and then it goes to the Senate.
That's not when it comes to impeachment. When it comes to impeachment, you don't need 60. You need 2/3, which means you need 67.
Yep.
So it's different. It's so you don't need 60. You need 67. So when it comes to something for treason, you would need that. Okay. They don't have enough for it.
In the Hill, Giovanni, Republican
Republican
Representative Paul Gosar from Arizona said the FBI surveillance of a former Trump campaign advisor detailed in a controversial intelligence memo released Friday, quote, constitutes treason. Gosar said in a statement that he will co-author a letter to Attorney General Jeff Sessions seeking criminal prosecution against these traitors to our nation, strong language, referring to those who authorized the surveillance warrant. If you're a congressman, you don't throw in traitors to our nation lightly, do you?
No. Was that Gosar, by the way?
It was Gosar. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So and he has not been a Trump supporter.
No, that's right.
Understand that. So when you have somebody like that, Paul Gosar, who is never Trumper to begin with, say that's big.
Sure.
Okay. He was somebody that was more a Ted Cruz guy. All right. So this is big. This is big here. So when you have somebody, now it's one thing to have somebody like Jim Jordan or one of the Trump guys talking about it, but when you have somebody, let's say like Gosar or somebody like that talk about it, yikes. Okay. And if you could have somebody even worse talk about it, let's say you have somebody like Bob Corker talk about it, holy crap! Now you're done.
Check this out.
If you have somebody like
sorry to interrupt. I just wanted you to check this out. How much of this is with the upcoming midterms in mind, Giovanni? And that might be a bit cynical for me, but listen to this part of the statement, the official statement from Paul Gosar. He says, finally, let me say this to those members of Congress who fought so hard to keep the truth from the American public. Your efforts to protect a corrupt organization are duly noted. I am not surprised Senator Flake has again cast his lot with the Democrats and those that attack true patriots. Good riddance. That's Republican on
Nice.
Republican.
Yeah, and state on state.
Yes, that's right. Both of them from Arizona.
Both of them state on state. You got it.
Well, Senator
And,
Flake's stepping down, isn't he? In preparation for the 2018
Yes.
midterms, there's going to be another slot opening up there.
There you go.
Yep.
And that is Dr. Kelly Ward's the lead on that one. So
Yep.
we don't want that one being. We'll talk about that another day, another time.
Sure.
And how that one trying to screw that all up. Anyway.
Anything you want to do? You want to wrap it up, or do you have closing comments? I mean, we've gone through a lot. There's so much more we could go through. I mean, we can keep going if you want. It's up to you.
What I thought, I think it's a good way to wrap it up. But I want everyone to realize we just talked about something that for an hour and a half that the Democrats couldn't have talked on for 3 minutes, because according to the Democrats and all the liberals, there's nothing there. We just spent an hour and a half talking about it, and according to Fox and according to several other sources as well as coming from Nunes himself, they're not done. They got more, and maybe this will make Trump back off even more. Just let it happen. They got more memos coming out. It's just going to be ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And you're going to have the Democrats constantly combat this stuff. And as they try to combat this stuff, guys, what month is this? February. It's going to be March and April and May. Guess when the primaries are? June.
Yep.
They're going to be out. They're going to be done. They'll be toast. They'll be toasting themselves. So the longer they can drag this out, each month pull out another one of these things, it is political suicide for the Democratic Party. This is not to even mention what's going on with the Secret Service or the deep state or anything involved with the deep state at all. That is a separate issue. But as long as the Democrats keep trying to affiliate or associate with the deep state, they are going to hurt themselves. And they're going to hurt themselves pretty badly.
Giovanni, you're a good man. You've done your homework. It's been a privilege to talk with you this morning. Just before we go, if people want to catch up with you and your musings and the stuff you put out on this, aimright.club, there it is up on the screen. Just hit aimright.club. Become a contributor if you like what Giovanni does. If you want to catch up with more podcasts and videos, TCD, thecommondiscourse.com. Giovanni, thanks once again for giving us your time and helping us go through this. Wish you all the best, and let's see what the future brings, my friend.
Thanks, my man.
Thank you. Okay, guys, that was our chat with Mr. Barricelli. I hope we shed a little bit of light on what's going on in a political sense. I hope we, at least went some way to clearing some of the fog. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for your questions and comments. Look forward to speaking with you again soon. Until then, stay calm, stay rational. God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.